Everyone, I went and saw Sound of Freedom last night. And what a time to be alive. What a historical moment I got to witness in that theater with all those people sitting there watching the film with me. And to know that there are people all across the country and the world watching the same film, being inspired by it, is truly a monumental experience. I highly recommend it to anyone. And I say go see Sound of Freedom. If you haven't seen it, they even have this pay it forward program. You got to see it. It's We all know that the elite, the ruling class, what have you, uses theaters to program people. That's where they started. Look into the whole ISIS theaters thing. All the first theaters were called ISIS theaters. They're used to program people. They're not new. They're ancient. The technology of films is not new. It's ancient. That's a whole other subject. Now, what I've seen from a lot of people in the community, they're pointing out that Carlos Slim funded this movie, stuff like that. Look, I know that is really weird. I'm guessing he got blackmailed. I can't say why this guy who's connected to human trafficking and stuff like that would fund this film. But what I can say is I'm able to accept a film for what it is at face value, and it's positive programming. I mean, if it's programming, it's positive. It's programming people to see, look, here's this thing that's happening all over the world right beneath your eyes that needs to be addressed. And that is human trafficking, specifically the trafficking of children who are the most vulnerable to human trafficking. Now, we've seen a lot of representation from the media, from sites and news sources like The Guardian and Huffington Post and stuff like that, saying that this movie, Sound of Freedom, is a QAnon dog whistle, that it distorts the facts. Some of the stuff that they said is most children that get taken are it's 12 through 14, and all these statistics they throw out there, and they're saying they're actually harming the issue. They're actually distorting the issue. Now, look, people, to me, this isn't just irresponsible reporting. It's a pedophilic dog whistle. It's these people trying to squabble back into the darkness because they're cockroaches that have been exposed to the light. And they're trying to get people to look away from the film. There are people, when they hear QAnon, they're programmed to look away. Now, it'd be one thing, okay, if this movie actually had some QAnon dog whistles in it, which I'm familiar enough with the subject where I'd be able to see that. And I can tell you, there weren't any at all. Zero. That film underrepresented the harsh reality that is the trafficking of children, not over. Okay? And to say otherwise is being complicit in the system that is harming and trafficking children all across the world. Okay? Now, some of the things that I'd like to point out about this movie, it didn't address the clones. It didn't address the issue of clones being trafficked. It didn't address the issue of underground bases. It didn't address the issues of the fact that some of these kids are being bred in captivity. It didn't address the issue that there is domestic, homegrown trafficking happening right here in our country that does not need to be outsourced. And it's happening in every city across America, and it's normally connected to churches. Okay? They wouldn't want to show that in a movie that they know a lot of Christian families are going to go see. Okay? And I hope that eventually that does get exposed and that we inch our way into the light enough to where even the people who are programmed to look away from certain things can't help but look. Like, for instance, the way they thought that they just said QAnon and just slapped that on the movie. Well, people would look away. Okay? It's not working. It's the most popular movie in the United States. These people, like I said, they're cockroaches. The light is on them, and they're squabbling. They're trying to go back into the darkness. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be put into the light. Their whole entire fucking system depends on them operating in secrecy, operating in the darkness, operating right underneath our noses. And that relies on people being too uncomfortable to talk about the issue, too uncomfortable to talk about the strange thing they saw at the grocery store the other day with some little girl with some strange guy or whatever, too uncomfortable to bring these things up. Well, what Sound of Freedom has done is it made it so it's in every theater right now, and you can sit down at the dinner table with your family, or out for lunch, or out for a beer with Bob from work, or whatever. And instead of it, you being like, you hear about the kid trafficking, and it sounds like you're on YouTube going down some conspiracy theory rabbit hole. No, it's this movie that everybody's watching. It's a mainstream thing. It's putting this thing into the mainstream. And like I said, it's not over addressing the issue. It's not trying to make it look worse than it is for publicity points. And like I said, that's not just irresponsible reporting, that's cowardice reporting. That's cowards reporting in such a way where they're trying to get the target off their backs. Because all these, how do you think that they've been protected for so long? Everybody's in on it. The media is in on it. The police are in on it. That's another thing that wasn't depicted in the film. A lot of these police forces are in on it. They're making money off of it, and they're protecting these people. It underrepresented the issue. Like I said, it doesn't talk about the clones. It doesn't talk about the churches. It doesn't talk about the underground bases. It doesn't talk about the chrome farming. Okay? It doesn't talk about half of the issue. And people are still saying it's too strong of a pill for them to swallow. Now, what does that tell you? How do you think these children feel that are put in these situations? Now, I can say that I'm a victim of human trafficking, of child sex trafficking. And when it's done to me, I'm in a clone body. And they can literally just throw me away and no one will know. No, everyone's none the wiser. I'll just wake up in my bed the next day. That's another thing that's not being talked about. So the beginning of people being able to even address that issue is people talking about the very real, the low level, okay, which we're talking the high level, they're using clones and stuff. The chances of them getting caught are way less because people don't even believe clones are real, because there's no paper trail. There's no, oh, this person is missing, we need to find them. None of that, okay? So as somebody who's experienced this, I am so thankful that this movie exists and can shine a light on this issue that has directly affected me in a way that maybe most people can't understand, but it's getting them to the point where maybe to set them up and prop them up to the point where they maybe will be able to understand what happened to me, because it is that serious. People will pay good money to be alone and do whatever they want to a human being. Now, when you add the fact that I am some sort of ancient deity in a human body, they get off on that even more. They do. They pay extra money for it. Some of them that know it. And they'll pay extra money to use this in rituals. And that's another thing that wasn't brought up in this movie, is there was no SRA, no satanic ritual abuse at all. So that's another reason why. How are they calling it a QAnon dog whistle? These guys did such a good job of making this film. Like, I commend them. I seriously applaud them, because they shone a light on the issue in such a way where you seriously can't say any of that shit without having people be like, wait, what? You're just covering for these people. You, like, anybody with a brain can see that Huffington Post, The Guardian, all these mainstream media outlets that are trying to say this movie's some sort of right-wing dog whistle, they're complicit, okay? And it's not just irresponsible, it's cowardice. I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. And they're intentionally doing it. This movie isn't a right-wing movie. I know that the lead character is a conservative guy, whatever. Good for him for being in the movie. It wouldn't matter to me whether he was a bleeding heart liberal or a bleeding heart Republican. It does not matter. Do not let them act like this is a issue where left is one way and right is another way. Everybody knows this is wrong. This is what can unite the binary polarized thinking that this country has right now. Everyone knows this is wrong. So don't let them pry their way in and use it as a way to manipulate people, to get them to argue. Because no, that's not what this movie is. This is a movie where we can very easily all be on the same page. And that's why it's so important. And that's why these guys work so hard on this movie and put it out there. Not so we can argue over it, which, of course, the pathetic media tries to get us to do that. Let's ignore that. Let's ignore that programming. And let's just celebrate the fact that this movie exists. There's going to be more like it. There's going to be copycats that maybe will address more issues that aren't being talked about in that movie. And it just opens up the doors to so much. So I just say, go see the movie. Go see Sound of Freedom. They have a pay it forward program. Look into it. If you don't have the money to go see it, there's probably just tons of tickets sitting there. It's like, if you're a lower class individual like me and you don't have much money, you might as well take one of the free tickets because there's a lot of them. But also, if you want to support these guys and their film and help them break box office records, buy a ticket. Let those tickets sit. It's not a bad thing to have extra tickets in this case. But yeah, I just want to address that this whole thing where they're trying to polarize this movie and make it seem like one side's over here and they support it and one side's over here and they don't. That's such garbage, man. And I pointed it out too. I have an aunt who she's a Democrat. She voted, all that stuff. And she's posting about it. And she's like, I'm going to go see this movie. And I'm like, I posted on it. Do not buy the crap that this is right wing and blah, 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 blah. It's like Trump's showing it. Great. How can you, maybe there's a lot of people, I don't particularly like him, right? So what? He's showing a movie about since that makes it bad? It's pathetic. It's pathetic the lows they're stooping to try to get people to think a movie about addressing the sex trafficking of children and trying to raise awareness for it is bad. I mean, let that sink in for a minute. How fucking pathetic these worm, cockroach, loser pieces of shit are. That they're literally squabbling, trying so hard to program people to think that this good thing is bad. Don't fall for it. I know I'm kind of reiterating, I'm kind of repeating myself now. Just go see the movie. Seriously, you won't regret it. This is disclosure now, okay? And Sound of Freedom is disclosure now. Sound of Freedom is disclosure. It's not going as deep as we need to go, even. It's not. We need to go deeper. Y'all already know where we're at. You're on my channel. And we will go deeper and we will expose the truths that people don't want to accept are real. And it all starts with Sound of Freedom. So yeah, go watch it. Thanks for watching my little review. I hope it inspired you.